What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Dads Against the Narrative podcast, where we cut through all the noise, challenge the status quo, and talk real talk about life, family, and the world around us. I'm one of your hosts, Nate Feathers. You probably know me better as Dads Don't Babysit. And I'm here with my co host, Jack Nofel, also known as Natural Born Dad. He's straight out of Mexico. We're glad you guys are here with us. Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you can keep up to date with what we're doing on YouTube, which gives you the opportunity to see our handsome faces. So I suggest you watch that one. You can make sure you like and comment and share what we're doing here, guys. That way we need your help there. So that way we can get this into the hands and the eyes and the mind of as many guys as possible. So they can also be thinking more critically about becoming the best men, fathers, and husbands that they can be. Glad you guys are here. Jack, hyped to see your amazing, handsome face. How you
Hey,
doing, buddy?
doing great, bro. How about yourself?
Doing all right. I don't think you can hear it at all, but I've been listening to my 2-year-old scream his lungs out for the last like 5 minutes while I've been in here. His mother's dealing with it. In fact, pre-show, she came to the window, like you could see through like windows and the doors. She came in like, I fucking hate you. And I was like, I'm sorry. It's like one of those things where I'm like, I know right now is not good, but I'm so sorry.
I think that's the thing people don't realize. Like when we're recording these shows, our kids are sometimes going nuts outside our
Yeah.
doors. And it's like you might be talking about something, you hear a kid, and you're like, what was I talking about? Shit.
Well, I've got number 5 rolling in here right now. Like, Daddy, like I can see she's walking in over here. She probably reach her head into the screen, but yeah, it's he's having a rough time, that's for sure.
Oh man. And it was just his birthday too, wasn't it last week?
Yeah, it was just Sunday. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like he's 2 days into the twos, and good Lord, here we go.
Remember, because he was born like 6 months before my son.
Yeah,
No, 4 months. Yeah, because
yeah,
he
only
can.
four, only four.
Yeah. So, guys, I wanted to kick this off by talking about
There she is.
Mexico. And
All right.
I live in Mexico, as you heard Nate say. And I just want to address a few things. If you follow me on social media, you probably heard me talking about these in a reel or some kind of clip. But I just want to say what you guys see in the US news, mainstream media, anywhere media, social media, anywhere of it, any programming that's coming through is most likely fake and full of shit because Mexico is by far, I've lived in 5 countries. This is the safest country I've ever lived in, by far, the nicest culture, the best for families. And so when you see something like this pop off, right away for me, I think, where was the US involved? Almost automatically, because we all know the CIA helped create the cartel. And if you
Hmm.
don't know that history, that's a crazy rabbit hole that is out. Like, I think some of the Epstein files even mentioned some of the cartel and CIA ties. Anyways, that was my first thought what happened here in Mexico with the cartel and El Mencho getting removed and assassinated by Delta forces, as we now know. We know it was the U.S., not Mexican military that took out El Mencho. And so that's, I think, a big problem right there. And then the guy who replaced him is his nephew, I believe, and he's coming out of California. He's a U.S. citizen. So
Yikes.
figure that out. This rabbit hole goes much further than you think because there's many cartels, but this specific cartel was created and ran by the CIA. And if you look at their weaponry and all their tanks and everything, some of them have like Ukraine flags. So it's like they're getting the stuff that was going to go to Ukraine. Now it's in the cartel's hands. They also have tons of Israeli weapons. So they get something like 80% of their weapons come from the United States and 20% come from Israel. So if you could pick two horrible countries that literally cause all the problems of the world, well, there they are. They're here in Mexico and causing the same thing. Now, if you know that, I like the next part for me was like, why? Why the hell are they
Hmm.
doing this? And so
Right.
to me, it was kind of like, all right, maybe the U.S. wants to meddle in um, Mexico, so one way they can distract Americans to look down here while they're about to do some false flag type of shit. Whoever knows what that is, or maybe because they're working with President Sheinbaum from Mexico, because we all know her ties. She's a Jewish president in Mexico, which
Oh, surprise.
yeah, exactly. And it's like, So maybe they're working together and she's going to allow security forces from the United States to come down here in the name of safety. So if they make the whole country looking crazy, they could do safety, digital IEDs easier, smart cities start coming in easier. Because I feel like Mexico is really a hard place to get digital ID because so many live just in cash world, right? It's
Oh
very
yeah.
old school here. So I don't know. That was like my ideas. You guys could tell me what you think in the comments, but I have no real idea. But I definitely know the United States is got a big hand in the pot right now, and we don't know exactly why and why
Mm,
this time. And
hmm.
I think it's bad for like it's like living here 2.5 years. You start realizing, wow, it's so beautiful. It's so free. It's everything I thought America was supposed to be or
Yeah.
was when I was a child. And maybe it's because when Latin America starts figuring shit out, the Western countries come in and say, no, 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 you guys need to still act crazy. Let me come in and start some bullshit. So you
Mm,
still look like the crazy ones. So
yeah.
no one wants to move down there or vacation down there or whatever.
Yeah.
It seems there's something just strange, man. And the
Mm,
way they run the world is not the way we think. So it's probably nothing of the, of the above.
right. It's crazy because I just like so I didn't know anything about this, and this is tell you how much I pay attention, I guess. And it's funny because I feel like I'm paying attention to certain things, and I didn't see that pop up. My wife was like, "Oh yeah, the head of the cartel got killed, and then the cartel went into Mexico City, and you're not real close, but that's the big city you're close to, um, or the biggest like that's what you're closer to that than you were when you were up near the border, which probably wasn't any safer, but in the sense of like all the meddling that's going on up there. But the thought I had was I honestly didn't even see that this had happened. And then you and I were chatting. I literally just saw Simone's post about like this is yeah, like this is what I love we love about Mexico. And I was like, holy cow, like that happened and now this is going on. And all I could think was, whoa, like the cartel just is practically taken over Mexico City. And that's what they're making it look like, at least if that's not the case.
Yeah. And the thing is I have some buddies in Mexico City, and I'm like, dude, how is it? Is it bad? It's like the same as my reel, where it's like, bro, Mexico City's huge. This is what he said, and that's happening in a tiny little area.
Hmm.
But since the news is everywhere and that's what they're recording, it looks like Mexico City is all under attack. But that's not the case at all. Mexico City's huge. It's one of the biggest cities in the entire world. So I don't
Yeah.
think people like fathom Mexico being so modern and so like it's
Yeah.
that's also crazy for me because I've lived there so long and
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Well, and that's
everything.
totally true. I mean, I remember when I moved to Costa Rica, I remember expecting to go there, and people always talk about when you do missions work, they always talk about that you're going to have like you're going to freak out. You're going to have this freak out session where you're there and you don't have all the things that you want that you're used to, and so you have like an adjustment period. And a lot of times they send missionaries to Costa Rica to like kind of slow roll that adjustment. So you go to Costa Rica because it's more like a second world country, and I'm sitting here going, dude, they have everything. At that point, and this was 2003, they had food delivery from your normal, like not just like pizza. What I was used to is if you wanted pizza, you could order pizza and get it delivered. That was the only company that did that. That was the only like niche that did that. And I got there and I'm like, wait, they'll deliver. At the time, I was not afraid to eat McDonald's, and I'm like, wait, they'll deliver McDonald's on a scooter? That's awesome. And then, now you've got DoorDash and all that stuff following suit. And so it's like they have you thinking that if you go into Central and South America, you're going into the third world. And it's not really, it might be somewhat modern, but it's all poor, it's all bad, it's all overrun by the cartel or whatever. And people can't live in a modern lifestyle. And really, it wasn't true at all. I mean, there was way more modern stuff in Costa Rica in 2003 than I would have ever expected. So I'm sure it's that way in Mexico City.
You know what's funny is like all the delivery stuff that you're talking about is making me think like Mexico's had that forever. Like
Yeah,
before Uber Eats, before DoorDash, it's just part of like the culture down here is like, hey, we'll make the food, we want you to buy our food and we'll drive it to you,
yeah, we'll
right?
bring it to you.
And the fees are very small. Like even
Oh
on
yeah,
Uber Eats here is very cheap also. Like it might be $1.30 that's like a high tip
Dude.
rate or tax
Yeah.
on you. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's not expensive at all. But dude, Latin America, they know what's up. They know what's up,
They
and that's why the government of the United States has to be like, hey, we don't, Canada's okay because most of you guys don't want to move there because it's so cold. But we know
True.
the tropics is down there, and Mexico
Hmm.
has beautiful weather all over the country. It's a huge country. So, let's just make sure that you guys know that it's very harmful and it's very dangerous, and
Yeah.
they they live in the worst huts ever, and they always
Yeah.
show like and don't get me wrong, every location has like a
Sure.
ghetto or a
Yeah. Yeah.
poor Section 8 area, right? But in the United States, it does too.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing is, I mean, honestly, it seems like, and I haven't been there, so I can't speak to it. So if you're listening, you're like, hey, I'm from there, but like San Francisco seems to be at that level now. It's got like modern stuff, but you've got stuff where people are just living like full on tent cities in places. And honestly, I think it's California where they're running like the shit tracker, where you can see like places where people have found human feces like at different spots in California, and it's like all over through San Francisco. That's what I think of. And I don't mean just people shitting in the streets, but you think of stuff like that when you think of third world. And you're not experiencing that. I didn't experience that in Costa Rica. You're not experiencing that there at all.
I didn't experience it in Costa Rica either, just like
Yeah.
you. It's
Yeah.
funny because it's like you tell someone, well, what like a third world country, where'd that term come from? Let's talk about that really quick before I go further in. Because like first world war or first world problems or whatever they call it.
Yeah. Yeah. First world
That's on
problems.
my tongue right now. Anyways, that came from being part of NATO. If you're part of NATO, you're considered a first world country.
Mm. Hmm.
That's the only difference. That is where the term came from. And then
Mm.
of course they promoted it as like, oh, that's a third world. That's a second world country. Like, so our adversaries are all third world.
Interesting.
I mean,
Interesting.
look what they do to Russia, and Russia is one of the most beautiful countries ever. And
Dude.
it's like they just dog Russia nonstop,
Yeah.
dog them. But
Yeah.
you see like Americans that go there and they do interviews with Russians who actually are super loving, super kind, speak English and Russian or Slovak, and they're all skinny, they're all in shape, they all look happy.
Yeah.
They're like super nice, and everything they say, you're like, wow, yes,
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
And that's how I'm with Putin now. Like I've heard Putin's speech last week or over the weekend. And I was
Yeah.
like, bro, that's my president. Let's make Putin president again.
Yeah, man. I think that's the again, and we talk about how I grew up hearing like, oh yeah, they propagandize their people. That's all they do is they propagandize them. They've got them brainwashed, and I'm going, yeah, they've got them brainwashed. They've got them under propaganda. Like, what are you talking about? That's what we get here. It's kind of like what you just said about Mexico City, like the cartel's taken over, and your friends are like, it's like three streets. Well, they didn't really say that, but like it's a very small section of the city. That was like every riot that happened like since 2016. Every single one of them, they were like making it look like like when Trayvon Martin was killed, and some of those they were like, oh yeah, they're burning stuff in the streets. I was in Charlotte in 2016 when some of that stuff went down, and I remember they were like people were like, I was down that way, but I was north of Charlotte, and they set out a citywide curfew. They're like, you got to go home, like you can't be out, that kind of thing, and they made it sound like all of Charlotte was burning, and it wasn't. They made it sound like all of St. Louis was burning or wherever else like they make it sound like these cities are being completely ransacked and burned down so that you're like, what the hell's going on with the world? And it's like, now, do we want it at all? No, but two streets out of a major city, not that big, pretty containable.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of that's that fear mongering
Yeah.
propaganda that the U.S. is in the West is just notorious for over and over. And it's like maybe if you could continuously throw in these fear factors, people start getting numb to it, right? And calloused and more calloused, and you throw more, and then you make it look like Weimar Republic, and then drop the Epstein files. Then it doesn't seem so bad, right? Because you've been bombarded with so much information, so many tragedies, so much stuff that's evil.
Yeah.
When they
Yeah.
drop the most evil thing, you're like, fuck, I don't have the capacity to even take that in because it's so sickening and so like I'm overwhelmed with everything. So it's like most of the normal people just are just I'll ignore it. I'll ignore it. I'll ignore the world's problems and the problems in front of me because, I'm just gonna keep working and have my little house in my development, and my kids will go to college. They're still like setting everything up for the exact same fucking outcome. Like, why would you set your kids up for college if college is pulling out and turning out all these kids that are super liberal and super feminine men? And it's like all of a sudden they go to college and they become entire liberal retard. And it's like, dude, we need to stop that. It's so many
Yeah.
people are like, oh, are your kids going to go to college? I'm like, they can go for free, but they probably won't. Unless they
Yeah.
want to be an architect, if the engineer or something of that sort, if that
Yeah.
exists, if that
Yeah.
exists,
Yeah.
like
Exactly. If that's something that they can
weird.
even do, like I was gonna say, with the movement of AI, there's so much that like we started watching the show The Landman. I don't know if you've seen that or not. It's
Oh,
on.
I've seen them all
Have you
caught
seen them
up.
all? Yeah, you're all. So I haven't seen all of them.
Great,
I'm only on like.
great show.
Yeah, it's a good show. I really like it. I'm intrigued by. We'll talk a little bit more about it because my wife and I are talking about some of that um, just today about the interactions between the guys and their like respective girlfriends or spouses, whatever, on the show. So I'll bring that up too. But they were at this trade show and there was this machine and they're like, "Oh my God, look at that!" And the machine is like doing the drill, like setting the drill stuff up and they're like, and he's like, "What is that?" And he's like, "That's the future of us out of a job." And I said to Meg, I'm like, "There's so many things that AI is going to be able to do if you put it into a robot and like take, but you've got to be able to learn and think in order to be like do jobs and do things that aren't going to be taken from you. You know what I mean?" And like you saying that just got me thinking about that, where it's like, yeah, there's too much that AI can do that if you that you're not going to need a college education for some stuff. And I mean, like, even doctors, I'm like, dude, even doctors, they have robotics already doing surgery. And that's like, there's no nerves, there's no shakiness, there's no like, I mean, surgeons could be in trouble too. And like, you think about that, and it's like, wow, like, whose job isn't like possibly being taken, but obviously there's still some out there, and there's a lot that's out there, but you don't need to go to college for that stuff. And honestly, you're right. It's just a breeding ground for like liberal insanity and pushing that whole thing. All the stuff we always talk about, it always comes back to like feminism and weak men and all this shit, right? It's like that's just one of those places for that. Honestly, people say, well, yeah, but if we just keep doing what we're doing, the liberals will breed themselves out because they keep saying, well, you should, love the same sex and you can't obviously have babies that way, or, cut all your stuff off and you can't have babies that way either. And I'm like, yeah, but the problem is when we're funding the institutions that keep pumping them out, you're pumped, like we may be making babies that are raised in conservative homes. If you send them to college, you're basically sending them to a petri dish of the exact opposite of what you're thinking of what you've trained them to be. And at that age, they're like, yeah, my parents are stupid. Not all of them, but they're gonna be like, oh, my parents are stupid. And then they're gonna be like, yeah, your parents are stupid. You should think this way. And that's the biggest, it's the biggest load of shit. And I went to college. It's the biggest load of shit there is. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't even use my degree.
Bro, my most liberal time was when I was in college, and I went to
Same.
college later. I went in my early 30s,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I still like, and I was independent forever up until that point, and then all of a sudden, I'm like Bernie Sanders, or whatever it was. Yeah, I think it's Bernie in 2014. And
Oh
so it was
yeah.
like, I look back and I laugh. I'm like, college brainwashed me. I fell for it my whole life up to 30, and I was 30 something years old and had
Yeah.
so much time as a bricklayer. I already had 6 years in the military, and I still was easily persuaded that liberalism was the way and socialism's okay. And it was like,
Hmm.
what is going on?
I feel
Crazy.
like I feel like the moment I feel like the moment you start having kids, and I have a real hard time with like I have a hard time, not like I can't stand them, but I have a hard time with guys who have children that are still that way. They still think that way because I can't understand how you can be responsible for other humans and think that way all at the same time. And I interact with these people all the time, but I'm like, how did you have a kid and now still have a kid and you still think that way? It does not make sense to me. It's crazy.
I'm with you, bro. It's when you have a kid, something needs to change. Not
Yeah,
something. Every,
everything.
everything changes. And if you
Yeah.
aren't like relearning with your kids, I mean, well, you're wrong. You need to be relearning with them. It's just kind of like Destin. he wants to come out of carpentry class. My kid's about to be 6 next
Hmm.
week, and he's like, I don't want to be in carpentry. It's so hard, blah blah blah. And like he's building a pool table right now, so it's super cool. And I don't want him to get out. And we're like, all right, fine, you can get out, but we have to replace it with a new skill. The reason you
Mm,
go to one skill thing a week, and I'm not saying like the other things aren't skillful, like
sure.
jujitsu and
Yeah.
Spanish and all that, but this is like a skill for life, right? Something that
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
build. So he's like, I would rather do more work with dad. So we're gonna make Warrior Wednesdays, and we're gonna work on knots and first aid. Which now
Oh,
I
cool. Yeah.
I worked on first aid forever in the military, right? And that's what I trained lots of soldiers in. So I'm pretty
Hmm.
decent at medical stuff. Not at a
Yeah.
level of a paramedic or anything like that, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty decent. But what's that do now for me? I thought right away, awesome. I get to relearn all of this with my son. So I'm going to go and study and relearn it and make sure things work properly from
Hmm.
tourniquets to just bandages to wounds, um, basic stuff, just so I can relearn with him or
I think it's
learn with
great.
him. Right. And
Yeah.
so it's like, I already know that skill, but like, let's make sure it works. And so it
Absolutely.
works on everything. So
Yeah.
everything you should be like saying, hey, I'm going to de-school myself here and relearn it and see if it's the same outcome as when I learned it the first time. And
Yeah.
that's okay.
I
So a lot
love
of times
that.
you find out it's different.
I love that. I feel like even under the like, and I really think that dads, like as a dad, if you really want to be involved in your kid's life, one, you have to do that kind of stuff. But I also feel like dads, like if I feel like dads should really be thinking entrepreneurship as well, because then you can take your kid
All
with
work.
you. It's like you can't take your kid to the office or whatever, but you can if your office is, if you're the owner, right? And you're the guy that does it. And the reason I say that is because actually had a conversation with my dad yesterday, and we don't talk very often. He called, and I was like, oh, hell, well, I'll talk with him now, that kind of thing. But it was one of those things where he was asking me about something, and I was like, yeah, well, I have a client who I do their Christmas lights, and they asked if I could do this. And I just said, I kind of just I was like, yeah, I can do that. And now I got to learn how to do it. But then I can take my kids, if I want to, I can take them and teach them how to do what I'm learning. Now, I might jack it all up and have to fix some stuff or whatever and be really frustrated. And there might be some expletives being said while I'm trying to figure it out. This is not very hard and it's kind of in my wheelhouse. It's just a different type of lighting. But it was one of those things where I'm like, I can literally say, I'll figure it out. And my dad actually said when I told him that, he goes, that's what I used to do. He's like, when I was in carpentry, when he was a carpenter and he did framing. And he's like, but when people would ask if I could do something, I would just tell them yes. And he's like, and then I would figure it out as I went. And I said, well, it's funny because now I have YouTube, so I can literally, there are professionals out there trying to get more business by giving away free content because that's like the idea now, like that's like the main idea that people think. So you have all these people out there that tell you how to do stuff. It's like how to on YouTube is like everything. And all the way from all the way from stupid stuff like when I change the oil in my car, I can't ever freaking remember how to reset it to 100% oil life. If you go on YouTube and you type in your car and you say oil life reset, it will somebody has made a video about that, right? And so dad was like, yeah, I used to just say, yeah, I can do that. And then he'd figured out. I do the same thing, but now I've got YouTube where at least when I go, I've got a lot more power behind it because I at least have learned some stuff from some professionals. I don't know. I just feel like
Bro,
you can constantly be learning and constantly relearning. And like you said, man, like what a great thing to have, even if you didn't know all that stuff, right? I should do that. I should teach my kids knots and first aid, and that way I can learn it. I think that's a great move.
yeah. Well, it's part of the Warrior Kid program that I have.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I teach that to the kids on camps. So long camps, they get first aid and they get like knots and all that stuff for the warrior path. And same
Yeah.
thing even online. Online, I have like whole programs that show them how to do all these things. So it's
That's
pretty cool.
awesome.
But I wanted to
That's awesome.
say, dude, when I was a bricklayer, I remember I just finished my apprenticeship. I just became kind of like a journeyman bricklayer, and
Sure.
someone asked me to do their steps. And I've only done a few steps at this time and pour the concrete on top. They wanted a concrete slab. Now, I floated a few driveways or not, and some footers. So I wasn't great at concrete by any means. I wasn't a mason. A mason is someone
Yeah.
who could do anything with concrete mortar, blocks,
Hmm.
brick, stone, tile, everything, right?
Yeah.
I became a mason years later after this little incident, but I think you'll like this. So I go to the job. It's just two steps. Boom, boom, easy. I do the brickwork, no problem. And then I don't really know how to do concrete finishing, but
Yeah.
I fill up the whole inside with some gravel, and that way it's less concrete. I have my own little mixer, and I'm just dumping concrete after concrete. And I finally get it flat, I get it level. I put the little slope on it. Well, I didn't know what a bullnose was on concrete. I knew bullnose bricks and bullnose blocks, but I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
what a bullnose uh, trowel basically was. And so I go to fucking do this concrete slab, and I put the bullnose backwards, and I did the whole outside. And
Mm-hmm.
my mentor came to take it down with me, to take the all the wood
Oh
frame,
yeah. Yeah.
the
All the
forms, the
framing.
forms. And
Mm-hmm.
so he comes and he's like, he's from England. And he was my mentor through my entire apprenticeship. And he's just like, you fucking dumb idiot, man. What the fuck is this? I can't fix this for you either.
It was set by that point, right?
It's like, how much did they pay you? I was like 2 grand at that time, which is tons of money in the early 2000s for me. And bro, it was so funny. But I mean, that's part of it. You have to just accept things and not be afraid to fuck up or
Yeah.
afraid to like learn. And I
Yeah.
think that's the problem with what's happened with some of this younger generation is like they've had so much comfort and convenience in digital world that like when it comes to using their hands, grabbing a
Mhm.
hammer, grabbing a tool, even changing a fucking tire on a car. They're
Yeah.
afraid to do it. And it's like, just fucking do it. Just
Yeah.
start taking off lug nuts and just bring the car up a little bit and you'll see it.
Hmm.
Like they're afraid. I remember like my stepdad, if I had a starter broke in my car back in 97, 98, I'm
Hmm.
16 years old, and my stepfather's like, yeah, you're gonna fix that. And I'm like, and he's like, I'll give you all the tools and I'll tell you what to do. And that was it. That's probably like the only lesson he really gave me in life, I feel like.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
walked me through it actually. But I actually did. I fixed my own starter at 16 years old. And I was like, that's so cool. Now at
Right?
44, I can't because I didn't keep doing it.
Because you keep doing it. Well, you could. You just have to relearn it all over again and be like, shit.
Exactly.
When you're done, you're like, dude, I can't tell you how many times I've had that happen where I've done something. So I had a 2007 Dodge Ram, and I had a black one, and the tire, like, dude, I don't even know what I did, but I had to replace all sorts of stuff on the tire, right? On the wheel well itself. And so I had none of the tools I needed. So it was basically like makeshifting it and figuring it out. I didn't have a garage. I didn't actually have a real jack. I was just using the tire jack, which was horribly stupid. Like the lots of learning that went on trying to do that. And I was like, well, I know how to do that now, but I realized that I probably would never have to do that again. However, I will say, the next truck I bought was a white Ford or white Dodge Ram, and the same fucking thing happened. So I guess maybe this is a don't buy Dodge Rams. The same fucking thing happened on the same side. So I knew what I was doing, and I already had the tools. I was like, oh, I know what I got to do here, like that kind of stuff. And honestly, today, if I had to do it, I would figure it out, but I wouldn't just be able to go zip, zip, and get it all done because it's been years since I had to do that.
No, it's a huge thing. So anyone out there listening, get your kids out there doing hard things. Trust them, even with tools, and be there to guide them. And remember that you're still a fucking human. You need to learn too. Like
Yeah,
we don't know everything. Like if my
yeah,
son wants to learn to weld, I used to weld when I was younger. I'll have to fucking pick up welding again and remember like all the little things that go with welding and
right.
different types of welding. And so it's like you want to teach that to your kids. Do you really want to
Absolutely.
outsource every fucking thing in their life that educationally to someone else? Like I think
I,
that's really fucking fascinating that someone is okay with that.
Yeah, I think that's our biggest problem is that we want to outsource everything. I mean, everything is about convenience, and it's like we're trying to get rid of anything that inconveniences like what we want to do. We're trying to get rid of it, including children. I saw this woman the other day was like, well, somebody was like, they said something about having kids, and it's like, it's a lot of struggle and blah blah blah. And she's like, I think we're raising a bunch of pussies, and I'm like, ha, I love this chick. I don't know who this is, but I love her. She's awesome. But she basically was like, parenting isn't easy. It's hard work. And it is. I think it's one of the hardest jobs you're ever going to have. She's like, but you can't just assume it's going to be easy. And the way people make it easy is they just outsource everything. I just saw this, and I'm definitely need to post about it, especially on Dads Don't Babysit. But they were like, yeah, they tell moms to not sleep with their children, right? To not let the baby sleep with them. But then they want to swaddle them. Well, that's the feeling of being curled up with mom, right? And then they've even made like rocking them to sleep. They're like, "Oh, you're spoiling your child." Like every nap, you're just gonna rock them to sleep every nap. And I'm over here going, "Fuck yeah, I am."
Yeah.
But think about the machine that you buy to rock your baby to sleep. It just rocks them all night long. Look at that. It's the rock and play or whatever it is, right? That's what they use. And it simulates what a parent would do. Why? So I can go do other things. So I'm just trying to make it easier on me, but outsource that. And it's no different when you're talking about outsourcing knowledge. I want to outsource to do my biggest frustration with this, and I've actually pulled back from it, but biggest frustration is outsourcing the spiritual education of your children. Oh, well, we go to church on Sundays. So what? Like Joe Blow is going to teach them all sorts of stuff about this God that you want your kids to know, and you just trust that he's got a good grip on whatever it says in there. I'm like, I'm the guy that was like, I was a pastor back in the day, and I was like, I will not have stupid Christians in my church. And what I mean by that is not that they weren't allowed, but that I was going to teach them in a way that they would learn and actually know some shit. That way, if they're ever in a conversation, they understand what the fuck they're talking about and why they believe it. And what you want to just pass that shit off to just anybody? But it's every which way. It's outsource. We outsource everything for
Everything,
convenience,
everything.
and
And
it's at
especially
our.
like,
Go ahead.
dude, the spiritual side that you just talked about, I didn't even think about that, but dude, that's so fucking true. It's
Oh
like,
man.
why don't families talk values and morals? That's really
Hmm.
strange. I think that's strange as fuck. Me and Simone randomly, like, we just randomly bring that up all the time.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, oh, is that aligned with our morals or values? And matter of
Yeah.
fact, one time she wrote everything out, and we had an entire paper hung up so my kids can see exactly
Yeah.
what we stand for in this house, which I
Yeah.
did love. And we need to get back to it, but that's probably packed up still, and now we're about to leave again. So, you know,
Yeah, but you know what's funny is that it like we spend all this time trying to outsource and get our kids out, like letting our kids. There's nothing wrong with having coaches, right? There's nothing wrong with having them play on a soccer team that I don't coach, right? But that's outsourcing abilities. That's outsource. And the thing there is, if you're doing, we do it all the time. But the problem is what you just said is they need to learn from us. All the is that aligned with our values, and they're seeing those conversations. They actually have to be with you for you to have those conversations. That's why I lean a lot more. Like I know that we don't do it, and I would, but I'm not there. I'm not as crunchy as you yet, brother. On the homeschooling, like I love homeschool and I love homeschool people. I love the like the farm school that my kids go to and what they're doing. But because I haven't made the jump yet. But I will say that is an argument, in my opinion, for homeschool is they're around to have those conversations, you know?
I mean, and there, I'm with Nate on this, guy. It's like, you want to teach your kid carpentry, like you just heard me. I brought him to a carpenter, a real guy who could teach him the real
Yeah.
math and everything with it. But I'm right there with him learning because I
Yes.
don't know carpentry, so I was right there
Yeah.
drilling with him, making the
Yeah.
pool tables, making whatever he's creating. So
Yeah.
it's like I'm learning with him, and then he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, Dad's doing this," just like jujitsu. He
I
watches
was
me
just
get
gonna say
whooped,
that one.
and I watch him get whooped, and then we talk about like, dude, I learned from that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's something that you have that grows your bond. And I think
Yeah.
this is another aspect where fathers aren't participating is like
Right.
you need to grow your relationship. It doesn't grow automatically. You need to
Right.
put effort and time in, and that's what your kids need at every stage. And every
Hmm.
stage changes every 6 months. So you have to fucking be around. Like it's a long haul game. This is 18 years. And even then it's so like preposterous that someone would be like, 18, you have to get out of the house. No, like we're building a family legend. You guys can stay.
Yeah,
I don't give a fuck how long
dude.
you can stay. You can stay, and as long as you're participating and you're helping in the house and you are of value, which my
Yeah.
kids will be humans of value no matter what. Like that's part
Right.
of who we are. So it's
Right.
why aren't these conversations even happening? Like that's the
Dude.
problem.
I don't know. I will say this. That was kind of for me. That's a shout out to Greg Denning because I saw it. I saw his wife, and I know she's World School Family on Instagram, but I saw her post about the biggest psyop that was ever performed was telling people that their kids need to get out of the house at 18. And I mean, I know they have kids that are older than 18. My 21-year-old son lives with us, and the whole thing there was come be with us. Like he had a different life because he was half the time with me and half the time with my ex. But he's come here because he's like, Dad, you're an entrepreneur. That's what I want to do. I need to learn these things from you. He still gives me shit for not teaching him how to fight. Yes, I used to fight, but I didn't fight like I mean, I would still be considered a white belt. I was not good. I wasn't, and I'm like, look, man, I can teach you some stuff, but you're gonna need somebody else to teach you that. And the truth is, that's what I was thinking the same thing about jujitsu because I'm like, yeah, I need to get my ass kicked from somebody that knows what they're doing so I can learn how to handle it, learn how to even just be calm in those situations. Let him get his ass kicked. Hey, I got a 9 and a 10-year-old. I got a 5-year-old daughter. All of them can do that. And then I don't know about where you guys are, but they have like open mat on Saturdays, and you can go in there. What a great time to go in there and let your kids teach you, like let your kids work out the moves on you. You're not that you can't do it at the house or anything, but you get to go in and you can roll with other guys and they can see that, or they can roll with other kids, and then you can do that together. I think that that's massive. They get to see the learning never ends. And I think that's also a huge important part. How many people stop reading after they graduate high school? They're like, yeah, fuck reading. And I'm like, you literally could live until you're 100 years. So you're telling me you're not going to read for like, what is that? That's like 82 years of your life. You're like, yeah, fuck reading. I did that when I was a teen, or I did that when I was in high school. Like, that seems insane to me. I'm just not going to exercise my brain. Well, that's just, it's ridiculous that people do that. But so many, specifically guys, don't do that. And they think learning stopped when they got out of high school if they don't go to college, or out of college when they're out of college. It's like, oh yeah, I did that in high school and college. What? That's
Bro, I was just
insanity.
talking about this. I was just talking about this. Like, men have this weird objective, like I have to conquer this and move on, a physical element kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, dude, where are you in your spiritual, your mental,
Yeah.
your educational? Like, where are you in that? Because to me, I wake up, I journal every day, glimpse journal,
Mm-hmm.
and I meditate every day. With this new app I have that I was just telling you about, Beats and Breath Work, it's called. It's
Oh,
awesome.
cool.
And so they
Yeah.
have like stuff where it's like meditation, frequencies, binaural beats, children's breath work, everything. I bought it for life. And
That's
so
awesome.
it's like I hit both of those, and now I have to learn something. And then
Mm-hmm.
I need to do something physical. So it's like I hit spiritual, I hit mental right in the morning. And you don't realize, like, when you're doing breath work, doing like Wim Hof or any of those, that's building your lungs. It's strengthening your lungs. It's also strengthening your brain. It's connecting
Mm-hmm.
your chakras. It's connecting you into the source,
Yeah.
right? As you guys often hear us talk about, it's the universal source, Christ consciousness. It's called many different things,
Yeah.
right? And so it's like when you connect into there, this is why breath work and meditation and prayer are so important.
Right.
You connect in the source, you have a better understanding of who you are and what, like, maybe your journey is, or maybe your purpose even. So
Yeah.
that's why you go internal. And then after my kids wake up, now I work out with them. We do our workouts together so they can see dad does the physical. And it's an everyday
Mm-hmm.
thing. And then we have to put nutrients in. And it's like right now I'm on 41-hour fast, and my kids are watching me fast. And I'm starving. If you're listening to this, I'm sure by the time someone listens, I'm already eating. But why do I do it? So they see dad do difficult things. And same thing over the weekend at the Warrior Path my son goes to. It's the program I designed for kids. Another father's like, I made the King of the Ring. It's kids have to push each other out or like
I
wrestle
love that.
them
Yeah.
out, right? Yeah, father's like, I'll go against you, coach. And the guy's like 6'2", 100. No, he's probably like 6 foot, and just in really good shape. 42 years old though, good shape. I'm 44. I'm much shorter than him. And then he's like, "How much you weigh?" And I told him, he's like, "I weigh the same." And
Serious? That he's 6 foot? Dang. All
so
right.
so then I launched him out of the circle 4 times. And my son was like, "My dad beat your dad." Blah,
Yeah,
blah,
yeah,
blah. And like all day, my son was like super pumped up because he watched dad do something difficult and win,
yeah.
right? And then the same day, I won in tug of war and I won in capture the flag. So this father was just like so pissed at me. He's like, "Dude, how the hell?" He's like, "I tried to get you out of the ring, but you're just like solid. You're just like I can't move you. You're
Well, you used to wrestle, didn't you?
I wrestled my whole life, bro."
I thought so. I was gonna say, I was like, oh, he stepped up the wrong guy there.
I even let him push me all the way to the edge of the ring, and
Yeah.
and I just did an underarm and just
Uh-huh.
flipped his ass over. He's like, "Your foot was out." I'm like, "No, my foot wasn't out, dude. I watched it for like I'm like, I waited to turn my hips. You put he like literally, 'cause if you don't know anything about wrestling, it's like everything's
Yep.
leverage, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
he gave me all of his weight up top. So
Oh
like,
my
dude,
gosh.
you're empty down below, and as you're pushing me, that just means I just need to lift you up and toss you a little bit. That's
Yep.
super simple.
Yep.
Because I tried to get you, but you kept sprawling. You kept doing this. I'm like, bro, I
Yeah,
wrestled.
my best friend in high school was he was a wrestler, and he was probably 20 pounds lighter than me. And I had no idea how I couldn't get him off the ground. I'm like, how do you fucking do this? Because it's all that wrestling stuff that he knew that I didn't know, but I'd do something and he would just be like, he'd drop his hips. And I'm like, how does that do that? What in the world? It's just crazy that I love it that he challenged you to that. Because as soon as you said that, I was like, oh, my boy's a wrestler. You're fucked.
Bro, I wrestled for a long time. I boxed too for a long time, but
Yeah,
uh, wrestling was my
that's so
shit.
funny.
That was my shit. And it's like once you learn it, that's a life skill, learning how to
Right.
use your body in
Mm-hmm.
positions. And
Yeah.
that's what I told Destin. So like when I started learning jujitsu this last year, and
Yeah.
he's like, "This is so cool. You already know it." I'm like, "No, it's still different." It's like, yeah, some
Yeah.
things go hand in hand. If it's an open mat, yes, I look like I know some jujitsu because I'm using wrestling the whole time.
Right.
But jujitsu
Totally.
guys could catch on to me, especially if you're a higher belt, and like
Yeah.
mess me up all day
Yeah.
long because they just
I w
have more skills.
I forget
I
who I was talking to. It might have been Matt Boudreau. I can't remember who I was talking to, but they said that if you have the wrestling skills and then you learn to use your hands, like if you're like doing mixed martial arts, so you learn to fight, like if you learn to like punch, kick, elbows and knees, if you learn some Muay Thai and you know how to wrestle or you grew up wrestling, the jujitsu guys have a real hard time with you because they can't get you to the ground. They can't figure it like if they do that when they come in, you can stop the takedown and still like beat the shit out of him. And I think I love that. I mean, I'm all for jujitsu because I feel like that, in my opinion, I've always said that jujitsu is like physical chess. You have to think 5 moves ahead because you got to trap them and you got to like work it so that they think you're doing one thing and then you're doing one more thing that causes them to fall into that trap. I love that stuff. And so being on the ground, if you can like again, this all comes back to what you talked about in the morning. If you're doing breath work, you're figuring out you're getting your lungs and your chakras, you're getting all of that organized. However, if you learn to be under the pressure of someone trying to beat the shit out of you and you can stay calm, you have the ability to think. And that's the thing. When if you are, that's why putting yourself in those positions is such an important thing. Going and wrestling, going and fighting, going and doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, those things put you in a position of fight or flight. But if you can stand in those and then learn to calm and breathe and lower your heart rate and be able, it allows your brain to start thinking and you can start playing chess. And I think those are things that are life skills that are necessary. And like you said, physical, like, that's stuff that'll go with you forever. And I think that not only does every kid need it, I definitely think every boy needs to do that stuff with his dad. And every father, if you haven't done it, you need to start. Like you really do, because it's invaluable. It's so important.
Yeah, and plus, jujitsu teaches leadership through
Oh yeah.
what you just said is literally leadership. Because what happens when you are getting attacked? It's chaotic, but you're able to stay cool, calm, and collected.
Hmm.
All right,
Yep.
now we have a leader because now he can think clearly, like as you were stating,
Yeah.
and make a good decision. Because that's what leadership is decision making, right? It's the
Oh yeah,
decision making
totally.
process, really, what comes down to, and that is a skill that kids need to go through pain one way
Hmm.
or another. When I was in the military, the pain would sometimes be out in the field and you're doing 24-hour shifts, or you're on the radio and you're waiting for comms to come in, and there's a 9-line medevac has to come in, and you're just chaos is happening. You're under
Right.
attack, right? Like you're under attack. You need a 9-line helicopter and you're on radios and you're like, holy shit,
Yeah.
your flight, or be a leader and show that like you can deliver. And when you teach kids that skill, that will go with them everywhere. This is
Yep.
why my son does jujitsu, Muay Thai, soccer, so he gets to be in a team and learn
Team. I
also to be a
totally agree.
follower.
Yep.
And he does the warrior path because the warrior path I teach leadership and discipline and
Yeah.
resilience what the kids need. So it's like there's a lot fathers out there that we need to be the leader of our kids to show them like, hey, this is important. If not, and you let another man do it, maybe that man's not too respectable, or maybe he's just
Sure.
not honest. And
Yeah.
what happens? Then they learn a sneaky skill. It father or all of our parenting skills can go out the window in one fucking playground trip.
Dude.
Like one fucking
Oh,
playground trip. So it's like you need to be going through the people your kids are hanging out with,
mhm.
those parents. Like you need to weed out the shitty people. And I'm sorry,
Yeah.
like if my son meets someone and he's like, dude, I really like that kid, but the parent's an asshole. Sorry, you can't be friends with that kid. You're
Yeah.
6 years old. I'm your fucking dad. I'm here to
Yeah.
make you a fucking leader and a great man, great husband, and that's what you're exactly going to be. And
Yeah.
so I have to make sure that I go through who your friends are going to be until
Yeah.
you're old enough to realize, hey, do they have similar characteristics and attributes that align with our values and morals? Like, it goes always back to the
Dude,
foundation.
totally does. And again, a plug for homeschool, even though I don't do it. And I will say this, like my kids do not go to public school and I would never want that. Like I would rather I won't ever go to that. We won't ever go there. My older two did and I hated it and we won't ever go there. But the same shit that happens at a public school happens in a private school. Just what you're talking about. They make friends with kids there, right? And in what situation are you ever going to be with everyone that's the same age, aside from school? When are you ever going to be in that situation ever again in your life? Never. But they go to school and they learn all this stuff, I'm sure, and I get to like shit all over this, but like that whole 6-7 thing trend, I don't know if you guys if you've seen that being down where you guys are. I mean, it's like whole like stadiums full of like junior hires have waited for it to be six again, like 6-7 on some like jumbotron or whatever, and then they freak out and they're like, ah, it's retarded. It's so, and I know we're not supposed to say whatever, but it's so ridiculous. But even my kids, like they go in and they're like, they'll do that, and I'm like, hey, stop saying that shit. Like, I don't like this is stupid. You got like the Gen Z language where they're like, instead of saying like I'm not lying, they say no cap. Dude, I want to punch someone in the face when I hear it. I don't care if it's my 10-year-old. Like he says it and I want to knock his face off because I'm like, are you kidding me? You sound like a fucking moron. And I'm like, just stop. But they learn all this stuff from from kids at school. And I'm just like, this is a plug for being homeschooled right here because I don't even like your friends. And I will say they've got good friends and good people there too. But I'm not kidding. There are times where they'll bring something home and did you learn that at school? Don't hang out with that kid. I don't like hearing it because right there makes me not like you. So don't do that. It's like it's so bad. They're like, Dad. I'm like, dude, I don't. Why in the world would you want to sound like you're fucking stupid? Why would you want to do that?
But you know what? I love what you just said because some people are afraid. I think parents are like, because they want to be gentle. I will tell my son the exact same thing, who's 5 years old. Like, I don't like you right now, dude. Right now,
Yeah,
you're acting like a total asshole, and
yeah,
you need to straighten yourself up. Go get squared away, take some breaths, because no one's gonna want to be by you.
yeah,
And like we'll tell him straightforward, like he's 5 years old, and so it's
yeah.
like when you said that about your 10-year-old, I'm like, yeah, of course, hell yeah, because there's some parents who'd be like, oh, why are you so aggressive? Why are you angry? That has nothing to do with anger. It has to do with love. That I put in so much work to help teach you something, and you can just let it go out the window by having a little glimpse of fun with kids your age that are already
Mhm.
morons. And
Yeah,
so
and that's,
your parents
dude.
put no
Oh,
work or effort in. So you're hanging out with fucking morons. So you want to be a moron? And like my
yeah.
wife's the best at placing it. The way she does, like she'll bring the whole sentence around of like, oh
Oh.
shit.
Well, I remember looking at Zeke and Amelia when they were in school. I was like, look, we were talking about alcohol, right? And we drink in my house. Like I drink very little, but like it happens. And it's not like, and there's no like, if I go anywhere and I have a beer, it's a beer. And I mean, I can make a 6-pack last for 6 months. Like we don't drink very often. But when they were in high school, I was like, look, your friends, they're fucking idiots. So if you want to try alcohol, you come to me. I will get it. You could try it with me. Don't fucking do what they do because high school drinking is like it's a sprint to drunken idiocy. And don't even trust that. Don't even follow it. Now, on the other side of that, I'd be like, if you go to somewhere and I don't know you're drinking and you're there and you're drinking, don't leave. Call me. I'll come get you. You're not going to get in trouble for calling and saying, Dad, I'm in this position. I never got that call. They never did that, which I think is because I said your friends are idiots, but if you want to not learn how to drink, but if you want to try something, I will let you try it, you know? Or I just be like, no, I'm not buying that because it's like it's some gay shit. Like, we're not going to do that.
Dude, this is why parents have to be involved. Like, I think when it gets to the teen years, so many are already so fucking checked out because they've outsourced everything
Yeah.
that they don't have the conversations about alcohol, drugs, sex. Like, these
Yeah,
are big topics that you should already be having probably before they're teens. Let's
dude.
talk about that because a lot of you are afraid to have these conversations.
Hmm.
I'm having it with my 5-year-old already. Of course not like sex, but we're
Yeah.
we're talking about the other shit. And
Hell
so
yeah.
he is going to be squared away and ready to go, and he makes a bad decision, that's his bad decision. He's
Right.
also learning what decision making is. So it's like,
Yeah.
all right, a decision is making a decision or making
Hmm.
no decision. All right,
Yeah.
so you're going to figure out the hard way, and we do it all the time. We'll
Yeah.
ask him a question, he doesn't answer. Sorry, you chose not to have dinner because you
Yeah.
want to be a bad leader. And that's how we'll state it. Like, we will teach you before you're a teenager to be a leader that makes good decisions that are conscientious and are positive for the outcome of you and people
And the
around you.
people around you. Exactly. So it's so true, man. It's, yeah, it's all about leadership. And if you're a poor leader, then you're gonna create poor leaders. And that's the whole deal. It comes back around to dad being the best possible fucking human he could be, always growing, always getting better. Like, and I know you do exercises differently, but in lifting, you literally progressively overload so that you can make your lifts better and get better at it. You're always working on technique. I asked my oldest the other day, I was doing something, I was like, did I do that correctly? He's like, Dad, you're the coach. And because I coached CrossFit, I'm like, yeah, but I got coaching all the time. Like, I would ask questions. I'm like, if you see me doing something wrong, you got to say something. Like, I'm not just excellent because all of a sudden I got a coach's certificate. That's crazy. And it's constantly learning and relearning and learning new things and then adding those in to be the best we can possibly be, because our kids deserve that. Every time we level up, that gives them the chance to level up as well.
And you know, the bigger thing is what you're just kind of alluding to is that, like, a lot of people out there, and men specifically, again, I'm sorry, fathers, I am attacking you today, but a lot of
Do
you
it.
aren't humble enough to talk to your kid the way Nate was just describing, and letting your kid say, "Hey, Dad, you're doing that wrong. Dad, you're doing this wrong." Or, "Hey, all right." I love when my son catches me. My 5-year-old, again, guys, about to be 6 years old here in a week, and it's like when he catches me, I'm like, "Awesome, thank you. Walk me through how I should do it." This is an opportunity for them to be a leader, to walk you through it. And now they're going to describe what they've probably already done. So now they're double tapping or
Hmm.
triple tapping so it sticks in their memory. And parents or fathers, you're not thinking like that. You're thinking such short term and such day outcomes. You have to
Yep.
think long term, as you probably tell your kids, have some delayed gratification. Same thing with parenting. You have to
Yeah.
have delayed gratification because you'll find out later in life, hey, does my son actually like me?
Yeah.
Does he still come to me for mentorship? Right?
Yeah.
You can be friends with your kids once they're adults, but are they coming to you for mentorship?
Dude,
That's a big
I got that right now. I fucking love it. I love it. I send gratitude texts to guys in the morning. And I sent one to Zeke this morning. I was like, dude, I really appreciate what we have. And that's not all me. You know what I mean? That's me doing the work I need to do and fix what I needed to fix from back in the day. But that's him too. And I love that.
yeah. So
Yeah, man.
that being said, we're about to wrap up the show. I know it went to places we didn't expect it to go. It
It
always
always
goes to
does.
fatherhood. It goes to fatherhood because sometimes we're dealing with our own shit, guys. And
For
so
real.
I just came out of my son being sick for 2 weeks with this stupid new COVID strand, and it was wild. He had 103-degree fever for 5 of those days, and he
Wow.
lost a little over 5 pounds, and he only weighed 40 pounds, so like 12% of his body weight. We're still trying to get it back. So it was just been wild, and my dad skills have been tested every fucking corner. And let me tell you, I think I came out stronger when the pressure was put on me. Just exactly why we need to have pressure, why we need to put ourselves in uncomfortable positions, why we should go do hard things with our kids, difficult things, so they can see how we overcome it and they can learn to overcome the same thing. So thanks, guys, for tuning in. And Nate, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, man. I totally agree with that. I really don't have anything to add other than if you are not participating in the Warrior Kid path and the Warrior Kid stuff that Jack is doing, what are you doing with your life? It is such a good thing. You need to have your kids in that in some way, shape, or form. So make sure you check that out. Jack, do you have your own? They follow you on Natural Born Dad for that, or Do they go somewhere else for
I
that?
have both. I have an Instagram for the Warrior
I
Path
thought so.
for
Yeah.
kids. It says the Warrior Path for kids, and I'll put the links down below, guys, too, so you can check it out.
Do that because it's a huge deal. Jack's got tons of experience, and I think it's great what you're doing, man. So I love it. Keep at it.
Appreciate it, bro. All right, guys. Have
All
a
right,
great
guys.
day.
Yep, we'll see you.
Peace.